sync clap.
1, 2, 3, clap.
That was in sync. That was.
It wasn't.
I'm
Okay.
sick of this.
White Pube.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the White Pube podcast. My name is Gabrielle Della Puente.
And I'm Zarina Mohammed.
And we run a website called the White Pube. We've been doing it for 7 years now, as of next week, which is actually
Crazy.
weird. And today is the 100th episode of the podcast, which we started like way late into the game. So today we're going to record a bit of like a chatty, something to put on in the background, something to, put on while you're going around Tesco or whatever, like little chatty episode. Because we are recording an Ask Me Anything. Ask Us Anything. Hour. If you're not familiar, The White Pube is a website where we publish weekly reviews on art, games, books, films, theatre, probably other things. At this point, it's just like culture at large.
Yeah.
And we are critics at large, which is...
But we're not cultural critics, which is important to say because I think they have a specific job that we don't do.
Do they?
Yeah, cultural critics. They talk about the culture, we don't talk about
fair enough.
the culture.
We just zoom in a bit. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So most of the episodes that go out on this podcast are reviews that we've written. They zoom in. But today, just chill. Just like plenty of people read those reviews but don't really know who we are. And some people...
Which is the way I like it.
Yeah, Zarina wants to be like a secret squirrel, mysterious, chic gal. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be fundamentally a mystery to everyone, including you.
We asked our people on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord to send in questions, and one of the questions that came in, and this is in caps lock, Zarina, what is your day job?
Is it, do you know what? It's because the little about cards used to say second job, and yours used to say running output, and mine used to say I work in an office, none of your business. I'll say, because I don't actually have a day job anymore. So I did my last day at my day job last week. But I used to work for Birdsong, which is a sustainable fashion social enterprise. They're amazing. They do incredible work. They employ migrant women in East London to make clothes locally, sustainably and ethically. They pay them fair wages. They source dead stock end of roll fabric to make their clothes. They do, really cool stuff. And I used to write copy for them and do some marketing bits. Odd jobs. They're quite a small team, but I used to just rock up and do little bits and bobs. I did my last day last week. I'm now full-time a writer. But before that, my day job was I used to work for a VIP travel company, and I used to run their social media. But I had to quit because during the pandemic, that boss went a little bit nuts and turned into an anti-vaxxer. And I mean, working for a travel company, being an anti-vaxxer, it wasn't working.
Can you tell people what
fun.
That job actually involved though? Not that you were doing the thing that you're gonna say, but because it's a part of the world that I didn't know existed.
Oh my god, yeah. So I actually don't know if I can say this because I did sign an NDA, but and we've just cancelled our digital risk insurance yesterday, so we could get sued. But it is. I would like to say we're recording this on the 5th of October before our insurance cover runs out. So.
Oh man.
So basically, in airports, there's the normal airport that people go through, right? The public go through the normal airport, but in big airports or main airports in major cities and most airports, there's a fancy private terminal for rich people and celebrities. There's one at Heathrow, there's one at Gatwick, there's one at like JFK, all the big airports. They go through like their own little separate little terminal. They go through security separately. They get a little lounge that they can sit in by themselves. And I've seen these lounges. They're bougie. They're nicer than most places, and they do like little canapes, and they if you want to duty free shop, they bring the duty free to you, and you go through security separately, and then they drive you from the lounge to the plane, across the tarmac in a little Mercedes.
Very
And if you're really rich, that will set you back like $5,000 a pop.
Grand.
Either
And that's
way,
not
for
even
one
for like
journey.
that's not is that for the ticket or just like the treatment either end?
No, you still have to pay for the ticket, the plane ticket. That's
As
the treatment.
well.
But if you're really rich, if you're like, we booked this for, I think this is the bit I can't say publicly, at least anyway. We booked for many notable celebrities whose passport pictures I have seen. And I did that job for about 2 and a bit years. Yeah. Before that, what did I do? Like just like generic marketing, digital jobs.
Someone asked us something that is kind of related to this, which is like, when did the White Pube get to a point where you saw it as your job? And I think it was like quite early on. Like we started, I don't know, well for me, yeah. We started earning money about a year into it when we did like one like artist lecture at Liverpool John Moores University. Probably earned like £200 each or thereabouts. And like I think as soon as that money came in, I just saw it as a job, because we just left university, and while I was in uni, I had like 9 million different zero contract jobs. So like why would this be any different? Like it was just earning money, and it, as soon as we got to that point, it felt like another one of those things that I did.
That makes sense. Maybe because it's always been work. I think in my mind I differentiate between it being a job and work, and I've always seen my day job as like that stable money that I can rely on, because I think for so long we didn't know how much money was actually coming in each month. I was like, well, I can't call that my job. That's crazy. So if I'm completely honest, it wasn't until 2020 that I considered this like my job.
Fair enough.
Like I was an art critic for work. It was such a slow slide into that. I think all of a sudden I woke up one day and I was like, actually this is my job, and it's been my job for a long time. But like I don't remember like there being a moment where I thought like something switched and I was like, this is my job now. Oh my god, like there wasn't like a moment where I thought I've made it, because I still don't think we've made it.
Someone said, why do you think the White Pube blew up? What was the first thing you felt went viral?
I know why.
Again, what?
It's because you're really good at the internet.
That was not what I was expecting you to say. I'm good at the internet.
You're really good at the internet. You're good at like using Instagram and clickbait, and you know what hits. You spend the time. You've got nous when it comes to like internet cred. You got internet street cred.
Thank you very much. That's so nice. I think I do know how to use the internet well. I think I have a good intuition for it.
Yeah.
And
that's what it is. It is intuition.
It does feel like intuition. And I heard someone recently say, like, you know, things like how to use the internet well and like social media and community building are skills that are just like written off as like weird feminized labor that people don't even see as labor or skills. It's just like this thing that happens over there that can't be monetized or doesn't have any real value. And I disagree. I think I have some kind of skill with it, and it's because I enjoy it and it feels genuine.
You're very good at it.
Thanks. But in terms of like, why do you think the White Pube blew up? We never necessarily had like a huge moment or mark where like something went all over the place, because as soon as we said the words the White Pube into existence and on the internet, and we said that we wanted to start a website where we write about exhibitions in a way that's like a little bit more casual and a little bit more honest on our terms, like the London art scene said good, because that's what we need. Like it felt like right place, right time. Like there had been publications in the past that had died down and people were just waiting for something to like have a bit of pep to it.
There was a gap in the market and we were just the people that got the domain name at the right time. But also, that's why it popped off then. 7 years on, we must be all right at this, you know?
I mean, it popped off then because it felt like there was a need for it. So it was like a comfortable popping off. Like, you know, it wasn't a bang. It was like a nice pop. And then we got into our stride. I think we became better writers. I think the biggest moment for me, like, in terms of writing, felt like when a white girl's capable of making art that's not about themselves text, because in terms of numbers, that one was like 12,000 reads in 10 days. And then I just stopped checking the numbers because I was like, ooh, what the fuck? Maybe that's viral, because like, when did 12,000 people read a piece of art criticism within 10 days? That doesn't seem normal.
Well, I mean, think about it. When does art criticism go viral? The only example I can think of is Morgan Quaintance's New Conservatism essay on E-Flux. And I do think 2018, before that, the numbers jumped. And maybe that was like setting the ground up for the white girl art text to go viral. Like in 2018, we had quite a good year. There was like quite a good year. Not really, two things happened, but like it was a good year in the grand scheme of things, right? Like we were on Dazed 100 and The Guardian did a little feature on us. And so the numbers just tripled on Instagram.
I don't want the first like 10 minutes of this podcast to just be us talking about how great we are. Someone has messaged saying, did you become critics because you suck at making art?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, we're terrible.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think the art I was making at art school is any good. And if I had to review it, I'd be like, you're shit and you should probably stop. And I have absolutely no qualms saying that I'm better at talking about art than making art. I think I'm really interested in art. I understand it now. When I was at uni, I didn't. I think it's taken me a longer time than like 3-4 years that you spend at like BA foundation. It took me a longer time to like jump on board and get with the program. I think maybe 5 years in it clicked and I was like, oh, that's what that all is. But by the time it clicked, I was like, actually this doesn't really interest me and my heart's never been in it. And actually I don't think I wanted to make art. I think I wanted to talk about it and spend time thinking about loads of other things. I've never been good at making things. Even as a painter, before I did like foundation, I like really struggled with the idea of like coming up with images. I like looking at images that other people have made and like thinking about how balmy they are. But like the idea of coming up with it myself, it's just my brain doesn't work that way. I don't like making things. Thinking about things and having a chat, yeah, I'll do that. And I've always been good at writing as well, actually.
Well, I think my heart was in it. Like, I think I was going to art school thinking, like, I'm gonna be a painter. I'm gonna get a studio. I'm gonna be someone who lives a life as an artist. And I don't know how artists make money, but I'll figure that out when it comes to it. And, like, the process of being in art school, especially in London, and, like, going to the mega galleries and, like, starting to have conversations with people who work in the arts. Like, it all just, like, broke my heart a little bit. And especially conversations with tutors, which I still think about, like, wow, if they'd have gone differently, maybe I would be in a different place now. Like, I was so into painting, and tutors were saying, I remember one tutor in particular was like, why are you so attached to this? Like, is it just because you can sell them and you can make a bit of money? And I was thinking, well, that's a big part of the reason, yes, because like
There's literally nothing wrong with that.
I want to have a job. I want this to be my job, and almost like being talked out of that as like you know, some moral imperative, just very strange. But at the same time, I did better in English at A level than I did at art. Fucking loved writing. So the transition to, you know, have that like heartbreak moment, start to think critically about like being inside an institution and what does it mean for us to have these conversations about making money as artists, and like why don't we already know what's going to happen when we leave art school? Like all of those anxieties, being able to like sit between the world of like art and writing and try and write through it in a creative way. It was like best of both worlds. So like there was the heartbreak, but I'm like way over it. Like it's all good. I love writing.
Yeah. You always say as well, this is something that really sticks with me, and I think a similar thing happened with me, but slightly different. You always say that like towards the end of our BA, you were finding all these different ways to like smuggle text into the artwork and like find ways to secretly just be writing. I think for as long as I was making art, I was just obsessed with the idea of like thinking through an idea. And I was so much less attached to the actual like aesthetic or like artistic merit of what I was making. And that secretly is a very writerly thing to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Like just like thinking a thought through to completion. We have both always meant to be writers. We just ended up in the art world.
Yeah.
Like pure accident.
It is by accident. Someone relevantly asked, if you were to make the decision now, would you still try to work in this industry?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think, do you know what? This is something I've really come to terms with recently, and I really had to like reckon with this. This year, I actually just really like art. I really like art. Like, I think it's great. It's what I spend my time doing most of the time. And like, yeah, it's work. It's all tax deductible. But I'm also enjoying myself. And if I wasn't being paid, if I wasn't being paid, I'd probably go to these places anyway. I'd want to see what was going on. I've always kind of resisted the idea of enjoying this. But I am enjoying myself. I'm having a lovely time because I enjoy art. I like it. I think it's great.
Sometimes I have these like panic moments imagining like if I hadn't have gone the route I'd gone through, like fine art degree, and then, you know, sidestep into art criticism, and then start a website where I have to publish something every fortnight, and I have to write something that I'm happy enough to like share with the public, especially as that public is growing and more people are reading it and there are more comments and just more pressure to like write something well. I think like, would I have found a way to write anyway? Like, would I have had that like creative edge or instinct or like an outlet? Would I have like made that anyway? And if so, like what would it look like? Because I sometimes, and like the panic is because what if I had a different job and I never had the time or the website where it all went, or like the schedule and the deadlines and the, you know, the subjects to look at and think about and write around. Like,
yeah,
I feel so like grateful that we've got it, because it has been so like regimented, and I think I needed that, and it's genuinely worked, because like I look at the writing I wrote in 2015 compared to the stuff that I'm making now, and I think like, how is that stuff in 2015 still on the internet? Delete it now.
Yeah.
It is
we
embarrassing.
We're in charge.
We 100% should just delete it.
But
someone
we never can, because it's important.
Someone asked, like, what's the worst review you each think the other has done? And maybe the answer to that is the stuff at the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
because relatively it's just like so bitty and quick and like, you know what I mean?
But
It's
even
like,
then,
meh.
I'm like, do you know what? I've got so much generosity and like sympathy. I've got real sympathy for like the people we were back in 2015. We didn't know what was going on. We barely knew we were alive. Like, we were babies. We didn't know. We were doing our best. Like, the jumps we've been on, like all of that, it's like skilling up, right? In like video game, in RuneScape, yeah, you've got to start as like a level 1 and you've got to smelt things to make other things that you can smelt into other things, and then eventually the wizard gives you some like really cool beans or whatever, and like
You've not played this game in years. A wizard giving me beans.
eventually you create something that you can smelt into a knife, and then you can smelt a sword and then some armor, and like we had to do that. We had to put in the legwork. So I've got real sympathy for baby Gab and baby ZM.
Mm-hmm.
Like those early techs, we were just kind of like I don't know, the world was quite tight around us and we were like just making some space. We were clearing the weeds,
Yeah. Someone
pruning
asked
the big old bush. Sorry.
White Pube bush. Someone said, how do you keep momentum? And it's because I like doing it. That's the answer.
There are other answers.
But I've never thought I don't want to write next week or this week. Like I've never thought that.
There can be things that you like only really want to do once a month, you know?
I know.
What, every week, Gab? Every week?
Yeah.
Sometimes, right, I think to myself, I really can't be arsed. But I have to do it anyway. I have to do it.
You're a fraud.
No, but the reason is because, like, right, I go running 3 times a week. Sometimes on one morning I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, do you know what? I'm really tired. It's really cold. My bed's really warm. I go anyway because I know that afterwards I'll feel better. I feel the same way about writing. Sometimes I really don't want to start, but once I'm in the midst of it, I'm having a nice time. And I feel good after I've put it all together and I've put it out into the world. And I'm like, oh, this is actually all right, fine, yeah, cool, yeah, good. But I think that's not momentum, that's discipline.
Okay.
I think I struggle from an incredible problem, which is too much discipline.
What?
I think I've got like a really, really I've got like too much self-discipline. I don't think it's a good thing. I live quite a regimented life. Sometimes I should maybe not go for a run, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you. Another anonymous person asked, would you consider yourselves the art Dan and Phil?
No.
And I'm glad that you're laughing because I've never watched a Dan and Phil video and I don't get the reference.
They're just two internet people. No. No. Are you... what? They're not serious. We're serious critics. No.
That's funny.
Sorry, I'm so sorry to Dan and Phil. But I think we're... I don't like that. I'm so sorry to Dan and Phil. This has nothing to do with you, but that's pissed me off.
Why has it pissed you off? Because I don't get it.
Right, I'm so sorry to Dan and Phil. I'm so sorry, but they're a bit cringe.
Okay, yeah.
That's annoyed me.
Well, that's it. We want a bit of spice. We need a bit of texture.
Yeah. Oh, no, I feel bad. I'm sorry to Dan and Phil. That's really rude of me because do you know what? They are really charismatic people and they're really good at presenting and entertaining people. And that's not anything to be sniffed at. They're good at their job, right? And they do their own specific thing as content creators. But we're not content creators, we're art critics. And
True.
It's a parallel that diminishes the intellectual value of what we contribute to the art world.
And probably them as well. Okay, speaking of the content we do create, which is reviews mostly of exhibitions and shit, a few people asked questions like, do you pay for exhibition tickets or get press comps? And somebody said, do you think you'd be more or less critical of exhibitions if you had to pay to see them? And I think we can also, you know, swap out exhibitions for video games, because I get most of them for free now. Thank you to PlayStation. I genuinely believe that when we are given a free ticket to an exhibition or given a code to download a game, I pay it like 150% more attention, and I try to write like a way more thoughtful review that is often more critical, because that person has like given me the opportunity to like actually sit down and think about it. If I go to things for free, it's like almost extracurricular stuff in a way. I don't know how you feel, but that's how I feel about it. It's like sometimes people pay for reviews with the agreement that we can say whatever we want. And in that instance, I will just like go in.
Right.
Yeah.
A press comp, like a press ticket is different to a commission in my mind, because I agree with the commission.
Yeah.
That it just means that you have like a little bit, that time that you'd spend thinking about something else that you're reviewing is spent thinking about that particular thing, and it gets you full attention, and it's nice. Yeah, I think it's nice to, and it stretches me, because sometimes people commission things and I say yes to them because gas prices, and I actually have a nice time looking at something that I probably wouldn't have seen under any other circumstances, or spent as much time thinking about, or thought about as deeply as I have to for a review. With press tickets, I think it's difficult, because at first I would just email the Tate and be like, hey, really cheeky, oh my god, can I like pop in? And I'd feel like I owed them something. Which is a difficult dynamic with an institution like the Tate, because obviously, right, but I don't think it makes me less critical when they comp a ticket. I think I need to be quite mindful that I remember how much the ticket actually costs. And this happened recently. I went to a show at 180 The Strand, and I turned up and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry, I forgot to email ahead, but can I just like grab a press ticket off you? Like, sometimes I'll walk into galleries and I'll be like, I'm really sorry, I forgot to email ahead. I didn't realise I'd be in the area. Like, can I just nip in? And they're like, oh yeah, sure, do you want to just sign the press list? And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And that's cool, come. But when I hit the Strand, I'm like, yeah, you do need to email ahead. We can't comp your ticket. And I was like, oh yeah, fine. I'll just put it on the business, put it on the card, whatever, the company card. It's all our money, so like, you know, it's just tax deductible. But I was like, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, and the guy rang it up, and it was £25. And I was like, this better blow my mind. This better knock my socks. This better change my life. I said to him, this better change my life. And he said, it is quite good. And I went in and I was like, my life hasn't been changed. I think because if I just emailed, I wouldn't have known it was £25. I think I need to remember how much these things actually cost, because I think as a critic you can like slip through and you like, I don't know, you pay a normal amount of attention to it, like the same amount of attention you'd pay to anything. I think it's like whether it's free or whether it's like a press comp, I just kind of like slide on through. I'm too busy looking at the art to notice the container sometimes. And I do need to be mindful of like how much these tickets cost. I should
think about the equivalent for games then. Like games
Yeah.
at the moment are like jumping up to 70 quid. And that's why like I do think about those prices all the time, and I think, okay, like people take me so seriously. We have influence, whether we want it or not. And I need to let people know whether I think it would be worth that money or not. Like, always. We both need to, like, bear that in mind.
But also, I do fundamentally believe that all exhibitions should be free. I don't believe anyone should be paying £2. Like, as a fundamental rule, £1, 1p is too much. I think these things belong. Like, I think it's a public service. It's a public good, and the public deserve the right to access it for free. I don't think anyone should be charging anything for an exhibition. I really fundamentally disagree with it. I always have.
Yeah.
Like, whether I was a critic or not. Like, even before.
I like the ICA's £1 entry, personally. Because it's so small that you sort of, like, enough people go in every day that, like the people aren't going to feel the £1, but that's going to add up for them to, like, put good shit on with it. It's like income. I don't know if I'm talking myself out of this.
But the government should be
Yeah,
funding it.
I'm going to cut that bit. Yeah.
But I think as well, the ICA's £1. Like, don't cut it, because I think this is important, because it does seem like a small, insignificant amount of money. But, like, if I really think about it, the most cynical part of me thinks, is this just so that homeless people don't come sit in the gap? Yeah.
Yeah, like, you're probably right. Yeah. You've convinced me. Speaking of the moral conundrums we face as the White Pube, a thoughtful follower sent a question in that says, what project have you undertaken that has felt closest to compromising your ethics or fully crossed that line? Do you worry whether balancing finances / professional growth might see you tempted to compromise more in the future? Brackets, no subtext. Curious, as it's a question I'm also asking myself.
It's a good question.
It's a very good question.
You go first. I'm scared.
Wait, what's your answer?
No, do you know what? I'll go first. I think Festival 2022, the Brexit festival.
Yeah, we had another question that just said, like, what was your experience of working with Unboxed Festival?
Is that what they're called now?
That's what they tried to rebrand as.
Right. Yeah, working with them, I think from top to bottom was not an enjoyable experience, but the money that we received went a long way. So
Theresa May, while Brexit shit was going through Parliament, said that £120 million was going to be put aside for, you know, a special festival of Britain that would celebrate, like, how good we were in spite of the European Union and without it, and blah, blah, blah. And straight away the media started to call it the Brexit Festival.
Right. What I didn't understand at the time, and I kind of still really don't, is I get, that it was kind of like, how great is Britain? Woo! In the context of Brexit, terrible. But the original Festival of Great Britain was like a thing that happened under a pretty socialist Labour government. No? It was. It was like back in, like, I think it was the Attlee government, and it was like part of like a massive wave of like public spending on like culture and social infrastructure, and like it was like, I don't think the idea of like a Festival of Great Britain is a bad thing, because I think, and I know that this like perhaps like is in danger of, you might need to cut this. I know that this is perhaps in danger of turning into Keir Starmer's like progressive nationalism, but I don't think there's anything particularly bad in being like, I like the society we're in, or like parts of it, you know? Like, I like the culture that we have as a people, and like culture is good, and we're producing amazing things, and like we can all be people together, you know? That's nice. I think the problem is when the state edges into it, because the state is terrible, and like the structure of the state is shit. But like enormous public moments of like culture at large, that's a good thing. I found myself really confused and conflicted by like a lot of the criticism, because I was like, well, money for the arts is a good thing. Like, I found it really hard to understand the criticisms that were like being lobbied at us, and like the festival and us by association. I found it really, really baffling. Like, I didn't understand, to be honest.
Well, we were contacted sort of close to the whole process starting when the festival producers were still trying to figure out like who that 120 million pounds would go to, and they asked us and like I don't know about 20 or 30 other people to sit on like a selection panel and go through all of the applications that came in and, you know, make notes about like what we thought should be nominated. And essentially we were asked to do 12 days of work, some of which involved going through those applications, and some involved either creating a video or a text or a talk that would be shown to the people who got through the first round of research and development in order to like inspire the projects that they would go on to make. We didn't end up doing 12 days of work. We did about like half of that. And then for whatever reason, Unboxed Festival let everyone go, but still decided to pay us the full 12 days, which continues to be the highest rate of pay I've ever received, which was £500 per day, which means £6,000 is like who the fuck can say no to that? Like,
Right?
like if you're listening to this and thinking I wouldn't have said yes to that, like you have more money than I do. Like that was my rent for the year. Like how could you say no to that? And importantly, I think the stage of that we were at where it's like, okay, if this money is going to be spent anyway, I would like to be there to try and have a say in who gets it and who doesn't. But ultimately, I think what we did offer in terms of input and criticism went absolutely fucking nowhere. And
Yeah.
that's problematic.
I think, to be honest though, it was the reason I'd go back, and I probably would make the same decision to say yes to that job for the £6,000 alone.
Yeah.
Would you?
For six,
Or would you do
literally, like, I don't have enough money to say no to that.
But also, as well as the money, I think we'd never really done a job on the inside of an institution that big.
Yeah.
On that scale. That capital I institution, right? With that much money, we've never done a job on the inside so prolonged, not just in and out, like really getting to grips with the way these kind of structures work, right? And I think if there was any shadow of a doubt in my mind that there really is no way to change these structures from the inside, it doesn't, like, one person with like a half an ounce of like good intention on the inside of like an institution really can't do anything that touches the sides of the scale of the problem like that exists within these places, right? If there was any shadow of doubt in my mind, it was worth us saying yes to that job just to really deep it, because I think about it, right? There was just so much that, like, just the way that they positioned themselves and like the way they implemented like really progressive liberal like HR policy, like personnel like language, right? To be like, and the way they like acted to be like, oh well, this is like community consultation, or like, well, not community consultation, but like consultation, like procurement, like we're paying you for this for the full 12 days. Oh, all the participants have been invited and they've been paid for their application, and like this, and like everything was like done with the veneer of progressive politics, but at its core, it was a deeply conservative thing. So I think it was really interesting just to see the way that that all works from the inside, because I mean neither of us have ever had a job in a gallery, like in the institution NPO, like on that scale. You ran Output, which is important to note, grassroots as fuck. Like it's we've never, unlike an artist-led space, you worked for a bit, but on that scale we've never really seen the insides and the way that moves. So I'd do it again just for that, because I think that was an education, to be honest.
I think it was educational in the sense that I realised, like, these people have all of this money and all of this power and reach and literal organisation, but nothing we say matters because we've just been hired to, like, what's the word? Like, just make them look good. Like, oh, the White Pube are involved and all of these cool selectors are involved and they're all diverse and, like, all that bullshit. But ultimately, like, when you raise the issue that, oh, by the way, that person that has applied is racist, they were like, oh, well, we don't know what to do about that, so never mind.
Their HR policy kind of broke, and I was like, well, we need you to take this seriously. And they were kind of like, okay, well, we will, but, like, this is a serious allegation, and it'll be forwarded on. We'll deal with this. And he still ended up in the next round. No, did I?
Yeah,
am I misremembering that?
I don't know.
I don't think he got commissioned the project he was on, but
also, once it was, like, all over and done with, and, like, the things that were commissioned did go on to happen, I didn't really hear about any of them, like, organically. Like, you know, no one I knew was speaking about the festival. I didn't really see it in the news that much. It was, you know, every so often there'd be, like, a Brexit festival headline, but, like, the actual content that was put out, like, I didn't see it spoken about anywhere. And that was kind of amazing.
Shame. Like, that's a real shame. All of that money, where did it go? And I think that's another way in which it was in education, because, like, these structures that pop up, these neoliberal, wow, I really sound like a nut, and this has turned from an AMA into a piece of art criticism. Like, but that speaks to, like, the fundamental problem with, like, the neoliberalization of the art world. It's just like most of this money just leaks away into, like, bureaucratic shit. Like, it's middle managers, right? It is the administrators that end up walking away with most of this money. The distribution system itself sucks up the money it's meant to be distributing to the artists, which is why it should just go to the artists in the first place. Like, they should have just taken that however many billion and given it to the Arts Council for, like, an extra DYCP boost.
Literally. Or just, giving it to us to distribute. That would be better.
Yeah.
Moving on from the Brexit festival bullshit nightmare. 2 similar questions that we had in. Would you want to work for an institution? And if so, what kind? And any personal or White Pube ambitions that you want to share? Ooh.
The one about would I want to work for an institution is interesting, because I think my position has really shifted. And I don't know for you how you feel about this, but I will say, in the spirit of sharing, asking me anything, back when we first graduated, I applied for loads of art jobs. I didn't get a single one. I applied to be, like, a marketing person at Tate. I am so glad I never got that job. I interviewed for a role at the Arts Council to be, like, an admin assistant, but, like, I was in the interview and I was like, yeah, this is part-time, this works for me because I do other things on the side. And they knew about the White Pube and they were like, would this be, like, a conflict of interest? And I was like, no, this is my day job. Like, this would be my day job. It would obviously have been a conflict of interest. Obviously a massive conflict of interest. I'm so glad I didn't get that job. But, like, I was in the interview and they were like, there's, like, loads of chance for internal progression. That's, like, the entire point of, like, coming to work in this job. Like, you'd go on to be a relationship manager or, like, here or wherever if you wanted to. Like, we're keen, like, on internal progression. Really good I never got any of those jobs, because it took me a long, long time to kind of, like, I just thought that was what you did when you graduated. I thought, I did an art degree, I like writing about art. If I need a day job, it makes sense for it to be in the art world. And then it makes no sense for my day job to be in the art world. In fact, the complete opposite. It's a total conflict of interest. And it also is loopy as hell. Like, the art world's nuts. Like, the art world, in these, like, day job, like, for art workers have a terrible time. The only reason we're loving life is because we work for ourselves and each other. Like, and we're nice. We're lovely. If you need a day off, I'm not going to be like, well, Gabrielle, we've not got any cover, so, like, and you're on a 0 hours contract. I'm going to be like, yeah, all right, sound. Like, it's I don't know when it shifted, but I really, it took me a minute to clock on and realise that, like, I couldn't work in an institution. Like, it's just not, it's completely at odds with the nature of this job that we do.
Yeah. I also feel the same way, but maybe for different reasons, which is that, like, I just have come to love writing so much that if I had a job that wasn't writer, I think I would go mental. I just love the freedom and the looseness and, like, the creativity of it all. So you can't give me a normal job anymore. I'm ruined.
You wouldn't want to do, like, citrus farmer.
No, I couldn't. Also, just physically, like, becoming sick and disabled, like, you, like, I feel like writing just works so well with the pattern and rhythm of this stupid body. Like, it's like the only thing left that I can do. I'm sure there's more stuff, but, like, it's the only thing left that I have the skill set and interest and energy, and, like, it works with the times and, like, the situations, and by situations I mean bed. It fits really well into all of that, and I like it.
I was about to say, can I talk briefly about all the other jobs I think I'd be deeply well suited for? But that's a completely different question.
Do it.
Okay, I think I'd really enjoy being a citrus farmer. I think I'd be really good at shepherding. I'd be a really good shepherd. Pastoral, rural jobs. I've never lived anywhere other than London in my entire life, and yet for some reason I truly believe that I'd be excellent at most rural jobs. No basis for this. I think I'd be a really good croupier.
What the fuck's a croupier?
In a casino, the person in the waistcoat that does the, is this your card? Is this your card? A shuffle.
That's
Blackjack.
what it is. When I was
be a really good
in
croupier.
school, my best friend's mum had been a croupier on a cruise ship. Cruise ship croupier. Yeah. And she was very proud of it and said that it was very fun. Yeah, I did know that word.
I'd be really good at being a librarian because I love telling people to shut up. And I love putting things back where they're meant to be.
I think I'd be a good teacher.
You'd be a really good teacher.
I think I would enjoy
You'd be
it.
so good.
You know when,
I
like,
can imagine you managing a primary school class. Like, you've got...
I wasn't thinking so much that. I was thinking, you know, like, when people in this country go to other countries to become, like, the English tutor in, like, a rich family.
You could
I
also
think
do that, but I think...
I would do that job.
But, like, you know, when I feel like there's, like, a formative experience that, like, some people go through, which is, like, really loving their like, high school English teacher. I think you've got that, like, life-changing, inspiring high school English teacher energy as well. Like, I can see you disciplining a group of year fives that have been dead rowdy on the minibus. I can see you changing someone's life in year 11 as teaching them about literature, but it's actually not about literature that you're teaching them about life. I can also imagine you as, like, an English as a foreign language teacher in another country.
Well, I love all of these ideas. I would do them all. When that person said, like, any personal or white pube ambitions you want to share, here's a question. Do you think you'll be doing this forever? Or will you have another era?
I don't know. Fuck. Like, that's a really hard question because I would like to obviously say yes, but you never know. You don't know. Like, one of us could die.
I think about that all the time.
I wouldn't want to do it if you died.
I think about
so
what I
really...
would write on Instagram if you died.
Same.
What would you say? Would you carry on the white pube without me?
Absolutely not. No way.
I would.
Are you crazy? Would you? Good, fine. I couldn't. There's no way. No, I'm not arsed. Like, it would feel
You're not
like...
arsed.
I'd feel like, I feel like an
killed me.
imposter. Like, I feel like I can't be the white people on my own. I don't know about, like, it's a collective identity, and I think, like, so much of...
Oh, that's so
You
funny.
continue!
Yeah, I love writing. So much.
But would you continue writing, or would you continue being the White Pube?
Well, I think people would thrust that upon me.
Oh my god!
People would see me in a gallery and it would no longer be, "Ah, I love you writing. Oh, are you the White Pube?" It would be, "I'm so sorry for your loss."
No.
It would be different, but I wouldn't stop.
Do you know what? I like that. That makes... Yeah. Fine. Yeah. I give you the blessing from beyond the grave. I think I'd pivot. I'd have to reconsider that. I don't think I'd do it. I'd cut some of the odd jobs off. Like,
You would post on Instagram once a week.
Yeah.
The Discord would be dead in a ditch. You would forget it
There'd be
existed.
no Discord. Yeah.
Twitter,
just
also
basically-
inactive. Last tweet, 2022. That was it.
Basically, I'd turn the White Pube into a literal blog.
Yeah.
And it would just be like, none of it would be like stuff that people actually want to read. It'd be just me writing about the weird kind of marginalia I find interesting.
Yeah. That's
Here's
really
this
funny.
obscure Renaissance painting. Let's think about that for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work, Gabrielle. I can't do that.
See, I'm already thinking of like
85,000 people.
the fun clickbait titles I can put on this podcast, like what we would do if we died.
See, I mean, I've just not... It's like, I know that that's a thing. I know that that's the thing I can do. I just, like, it doesn't occur to me. I know
See,
that clickbait exists.
This is what runs through my head. 1, don't tell anyone, but we are writing a book. If that book goes incredibly, then we can carry on. We can write books. We can like live our lives. We can write more books, and hopefully we make money and we live. If people don't like it, then we will have to become English teachers and citrus farmers. Like,
So, basically, you've all got to buy a fucking book.
so it's like,
You can't blackmail
no, I'm
85,000
not
people.
I'm not blackmailing them. I'm just saying, like, in the grand scheme of things, we do need money, and we're not right now making enough money to, like, you know, be adults. Like, we're just scraping by, really, because, you know, freelance rates don't necessarily rise with inflation. Freelance rates just stay the same. No one is interested in paying more. The White Pube podcast has never had a sponsor, and I don't know if it ever will. Like,
No, one, So Cards.
So Cards, we have one sponsored episode, and I still don't
Shout
know
out So Cards. And do you know
how
what?
to get more.
Those were banging questions.
Yeah, that was the Praise Kink episode that we did. So, like, you know, we run a very unstable project where we are funded via Patreon. We do a bit of freelance writing, but we don't have sick pay and pensions and mortgages. Like, we're not quite at that, like, that level of being adults.
Well,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. What happens if I marry rich?
Oh, well, then things change. But I would have to, like, somehow be in the agreement. I want a stipend.
I have a second question then for the group.
Go on.
What would we do if Zarina married rich and embezzled her rich husband's money in the White Pube? Would you still run the White Pube if you were my live-in friend?
So then, what if that happens, but then you did die? Would I still get the payments?
I think then, actually, legally speaking, you'd be married to the rich man.
Yeah. Someone messaged anonymously saying, "Gab, are you still engaged?" I am, but I don't need to be if this offer comes up.
That is so funny. Are you still
Yeah.
engaged? Are they just checking? They just want to know. Are
Yeah,
your
I was trying
DMs
to like
open?
work out. I was working out the logic of it. Is it like someone who doesn't want me to be engaged? Is it someone who just is curious because maybe I've not spoken about like being in a relationship on the internet for a while? I don't know. I thought it was a funny
Is it
question.
someone that thinks you've been jilted and that you've kept it quiet?
I know. I wish there was a more interesting story.
Maybe it's an empath and they think that you're suffering secret heartbreak, which is actually that's the best case scenario.
In terms of like, you know, relationships, whether that be with your rich husband one day, me and your rich husband one day, so on. We had 100,000 questions from people that said things like this. Do you ever argue with Z over White Pube stuff, or is there always consensus? Did you ever fall out, and what was the beef? Your biggest falling out so far? Question mark. Etc. 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 And then related, who took what stance in the pro/anti conditioner argument? Is hair conditioner necessary?
I love that argument has become White Pube lore. LORE.
Is it important
mythology
to condition your hair? Like, it goes on. So
right. Can I tell a story?
Yeah, go for it.
So, it was 2019. We were in Bergen, and we were just having a little hot apple cider of an evening. It was fucking freezing, and I think we were talking about like what we'd brought in our carry-ons, because we had like carry-on luggage, and Gab was like discussing her skincare, hair care philosophy, which was that she doesn't want to be beholden to any one product. She doesn't want to be reliant on any one product. She's a survivalist. She simply wants to go out into the world equipped with a toothbrush and nothing more.
Literally.
Yeah, right. And
deodorant,
I was like, oh
to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah, but like just minimalism, like product minimalism. And I was like, that's like the opposite of me. I've got 5,000 things and I've put them all into mini pots so that I can take them in through hand luggage. And we just somehow got to the point where Gab told me that she didn't use conditioner ever. And I was like, that's insane, but you've got to. Like, at the time, I was like, my mind cannot comprehend a world in which people do not use conditioner. Like, that blew my mind. I thought that was the wackiest thing you've ever said. And then the next morning, I think we were going up the little funicular, and I felt really bad. I was like, I feel like I shamed you.
That's really funny.
I was like, maybe it's like a thing, like, I don't know. It's fundamentally, I didn't want you to feel like I was judging your choices, your personal grooming choices. I don't think you are a dirty person for not using conditioner. It just like was so alien and baffling. And you were just like blinking at me across the table like, yeah, I don't use conditioner. It's fine, my hair. And you know what? You didn't use conditioner and your hair looked great. It was just my entire worldview was crumbling around me. But like, I really felt bad. I felt like I shamed you. And that was not, I didn't want that. I don't want to shame my friend. So if you don't want to use conditioner, you fucking go for it because your hair looks great. But I just can't comprehend a world in which that's plausible.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add. That was it. It was I don't even remember the time that we told the internet what had happened, but like, people still remember it, obviously.
But that's the biggest argument we've ever had, and even then I was like, do you know what, live your life. Like,
Yeah,
I can't.
it wasn't even an argument. Quite a few people asked tips for collaborating on long-term creative projects. How do you communicate and make decisions for the White Pube? And, you know, how do you communicate across the void living in two different cities? I find that quite hard to answer. I just think that we get on well, and it has made things very lucky. We've been lucky. Like, we just get on. We agree on a lot of shit. I think sometimes I have ideas and Zarina's like, oh, I don't know if we should do that, but then we do it, and then Zarina says, you're always right, and it makes me feel good. and then we carry on.
And like, we're each other's yes men.
Yeah, I mean, we like speak every day. We use WhatsApp. We tried to like have our own like more organized workplace on a private Discord server once, but like WhatsApp was ultimately all we use.
Do you remember when we tried Slack as well? That didn't work. That
I was
didn't
just
stick.
about to say Slack, and I didn't know whether it was like a fever dream, but we did try Slack as well.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's it. We just get on.
But I have something to say in the spirit of confession, and it's that when I turned 27, a friend bought me a tarot reading to celebrate Saturn's return, and it was absolutely the nuttiest tarot reading, like the only tarot reading I've ever had, but like also nuts, because this person just proceeded to like spend an hour telling me about myself, and it was all correct, and or at least like I thought it all applied, and like it was like bang on, but also transformative. Like I loved it. It was like incredible. Maybe I'll link it in stories because it's an art person, which I didn't know at the time. But this Saturn's Return tarot reading, basically, amongst other things, the one bit that I'll share from it was that one of the cards was like two thing, like it was a thing, like a thing of twos, or like the lovers, or like something like a two, a pair, and the person doing my tarot reading said, potentially there's another future partnership, and like there's a partnership coming up in your future, and it's going to be really fruitful because you've got a partnership already in your life that's like really deeply healthy and that feels effortless, and like so you know what like a healthy partnership looks like, so like the partnership that you currently have in your life will help forge like the terms of this future one. And I was like thinking about like I don't know what that future partnership is. I was asking them, is it romantic, am I going to get a rich husband? And they were like, simply, there's no way of telling, it's just a future partnership, I can't tell you that, like I'm not psychic. But the present partnership, I truly believe, has been the White Pube, because this is, and I think this speaks to the way that we don't really value platonic or like friendship, like platonic relationships and like friendship in the same way, like the same hierarchy. Like there's a hierarchy, right? You see like romantic, like sexual, or like heterosexual dynamics, right, between a man and a woman in a relationship. They're married and like they've got kids and a house. Like that's like the relationship that like it's committed, it's solid, it's never going to break. But like 1 in 2 people get divorced, 1 in 2 couples get divorced. So like it makes no sense that that's like way more valuable in like across the span of our lives than like the friendships that we. I don't respect men. Wow, cut this out.
Where is
You
this
can't.
going?
You've got to edit this out. But like, I really truly think that like I think that like the people's compatibility, right? Like the relationships that we form with our friends and our collaborators and the people in our lives that like are non-romantic, they're equally as important. Like that you vibe with them well, and that you put in effort and work and support and love and care for each other as you do in like a romantic relationship. I don't respect men, so like maybe completely way more than I would value these people in like a romantic setting. I think there's really something to be said. We're compatible basically, and I think you're my soulmate.
Aww. I hate men. You're my soulmate.
But it doesn't have to be a romantic. It's not. I don't think that's a romantic term. I think I've got so many friends that I think, like I value you so much. You mean so much to me in my life.
Sometimes I don't even like. I mean, not sometimes. I think I don't deep any of that because it's so easy. Do you know what I mean? Like I just take it for granted because it's like this stable, continuous, like relationship that just happens and it works. So like when people send us 9 million messages like, have you ever fallen out? I'm like, no, we've not fallen out. And it's a joke that maybe we once did for like 2 minutes. It's like not even, it wasn't even a thing.
Don't undermine it, because I went to bed that night and I really thought, I think I fucked up. Like, I really hope Gab's not sat there thinking, and Zarina shamed me.
Shamed me.
I was like, oh God. I felt really bad.
It's fine.
Basically, that was a long way to say that, like, it works, but like I think it works because we put in work to make it work, you know? In the same way that you would in any marriage.
I literally disagree. I think it works because we don't need to work. Like, it just happens. We're very lucky. It just works.
But it just works, but I think that is a kind of work.
Someone sent in a Zarina related question that feels like it would be a good time to ask because it is relationship related. Fuck, marry, kill for Zarina. Laurie from Little Women, Timmy version.
Okay.
Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, Colin Firth, or
Kill.
Anthony from Bridgerton.
Right. Kill Mr. Darcy. Fuck Timmy. Laurie. Marry Anthony. That's easy. Child's play.
Why would
I
you
knew
kill
off the
Mr.
bat.
Darcy?
I don't like Colin Firth. I don't trust him. He's got no expressions. And his version of Mr. Darcy is so repressed that it's actually not sexy. I don't get it. I don't get that. The only reason I like the BBC Pride and Prejudice is because it's just the book.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. What is Zarina's favourite flavour elf bar?
Cherry.
Cherry. Zarina is always dressed fucking amazing. Can she give any intel on where she shops, please?
How much detail shall I go into? How much time we got?
I
This
don't
is
know.
an hour long already. Fuck it, bumper episode. So, right, I don't actually buy that many clothes. I just have started buying clothes that I think I will wear lots. Basically, working in sustainable fashion for a bit really like made me clock on to how I buy things because I think I'll like them or I'll like the version. I think I can be that person that wears that thing. And actually I'm not. I've started just dressing for the body I have. And a lot of that is just buying things that I will be comfortable in. Like, I just fucking love sweatshirts. I want a really good sweatshirt that's not going to bobble. And the sweatshirt that's not going to bobble is probably from Uniqlo or from... And I know this isn't sustainable. I know that they're not, like, a great company. Nike do great sweatshirts that don't bobble. And it's a bit more than, like, a jumper and than, like, a sweatshirt just, like, off ASOS from, like, Bershka. And it's probably not as sustainable. But if I'm wearing it every day for, like, 5-6 years, that's the more sustainable choice, right? Wearing the things that you have and making sure that they last and that you're taking care of them. And so that's the way that I approach buying things. So I shop wherever I can get my hands on something that will last. And most of the time it's like sportswear and workwear. So like Carhartt. I have a Carhartt jacket that is so snug, so warm, looks as good as new. I've had it for ages. That's about it. Okay. All right. Those were the questions for me. Now I've got a question for you, and I'm asking the questions. Right? You're in the hot seat. Fuck, marry, kill for Gab. Caustic, Revenant, or Octane from Apex.
I would kill Caustic, I would fuck Octane, and I would marry Revenant for the drama. Next.
I have no idea who any of those people are. I love that though. What's on your to playlist?
Ooh, so I just played Sable, and that's going to be the next review, and I was like literally waiting to play that all year, but it's only available on like PC and Xbox, and I just cat sat for my cousin, and she's got an Xbox, so I was like, oh, finally played it. I've just downloaded Spiritfarer today, which is something people have literally been asking me to review for 2 years. Behind me on the shelf, there are like a stack of PlayStation games, and I remembered that was there yesterday and that I'd bought Alan Wake and I want to play that. And then like 2 bigger ones that I feel like I've been meaning to get to, but I just haven't. Are The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk. The Witcher feels a bit more motivated because like there's a TV show, and you know when you want to watch the TV show or something, but like yeah, I need to like read the book or whatever it is beforehand. I feel like I need to just get on and play it because I do want to watch the TV show. But yeah, that's it. That's it.
All right. Are you enjoying cat mum life? And also, I've got a question. How do you feel about the term cat mum?
It makes me cringe.
Same. Yeah.
I like having a cat. She was very intense and difficult for a while. Just because like she was so used to me being in bed, and then when I started to like do more stuff, I think she got a bit aggro because she couldn't just sit on me all day. But we've like made friends again recently, and I just bought her a really cool toy that I was inspired by when I was cat sitting last week, called a cat dancer, which is just like a bouncy piece of metal with like bits of cardboard on it, and she literally was like bouncing off the walls playing with it today, and it was very entertaining. I like having a cat. I think like I can't imagine having any other kind of animal. Like she's just the right energy. Very cute and like spooky Halloween vibe. Yeah. Nice.
How have you managed being sick and being one half of the White Pube?
Sometimes I look back on last year when things were much worse and think like, how did I write anything? Like, how did I write I don't understand how, but I think the answer is that because I wasn't doing anything else. Like I wasn't washing dishes or cooking food or washing myself. Like I was just tip tap typing away. Yeah, I think about like things that I regret, like I don't think I put as much effort into like Michael's birthday or Christmas presents because I was so drained that in the sickness the only place that my brain and ideas were going were towards writing, and like that feels like an unhealthy relationship with writing, but like for a while it was the lifeline. So it's fine, and he gets it, and I am trying to make a bigger effort in my relationship this year because I am still engaged.
It's interesting. I think both of us prioritise the White Pube over everything else. It is the most important thing in my life.
Yeah. And
I have no qualms with that.
Same, really.
It's the way I want it to be. It's the most important thing in my life because I make it the most important thing in my life. And I always will.
Same. Yeah. Same.
As long as it's about
I'm glad we're on the same page. But in general, I've managed being sick and being one half of the White Pube by doing less work and realising the work that I can't do anymore and handing that off to Zarina, who has very graciously taken it on. I have tried to accept more jobs that are just like writing based that I can like do in my own time, as opposed to making a bit of extra freelance via teaching and other kind of physical things, which has been hard because obviously then like I'm just writing all the time, and at the same time I love that, so that's fine. I have also really enjoyed just like letting the subjects within our writing and the reviews and Instagram captions and tweets like stretch to include discussion of disability. Everyone has very much seen me figure this out over the past like 2 years, a year and whatever. And I know there's another question coming up, which like maybe you should ask it now.
Do you want me to, smooth transition in? Should I read the entirety of this question?
Read the entirety of the question.
Okay. Myself and my friend both have ME and POTS, and we don't understand why Gabrielle is explaining so much about POTS, but not ME. She says she gets PEM, which is a unique symptom to ME.
Yeah, so ME is oh God, is it myoencephalitis? Is that what it stands for? I can never remember like the science. Which is like a chronic illness that is most known for PEM, which is post-exertional malaise, i.e. after you do something, you really take a hit from doing it. I thought I had ME last year because that's what it looked like. I spoke a lot about that on the internet. I've read books about people with ME, like ill feelings. I spoke to my friend who has ME, two friends actually, to try and like come to terms with it and learn from them. But then in January of this year, I got diagnosed with POTS. And I know that one of the main symptoms of POTS is also chronic fatigue. So it is a kind of blurry mess. And some people have one and some people have both. And some people have many things. Over the past 10 months of having my POTS diagnosis, I've been able to like test my limits and figure out like whether or not I have post-exertional malaise or not. And it's very hit or miss. But essentially, when I take care of all the POTS symptoms as best I can, and when the POTS stuff is going really well, I don't have the same fatigue hit because now I'm medicated, and because I have POTS, I don't have ME, and chronic fatigue is still a symptom of POTS. So essentially, I understand the question, but it doesn't feel like the full picture. And I mean, how can I expect anyone to know the full picture? Because like the way we communicate online is in random reviews that not everyone is going to read, random blog posts that not everyone is going to read, and like the occasional Instagram post or story. So like I read that and I got a bit like, not annoyed, but like it's frustrated at not being able to communicate everything so like coherently as I wish I could. And like it also, like, I think part of my tiny 1% upset with that question is that like the chronic illness community have like genuinely saved me over the past year, 2 years. But at the same time, there have been really notable instances within that where like people who sort of are like, I'm the sick expert, I've been sick for way longer than you have, like speak to me like shit, and have also said things to me that in the end did me more harm than good. And it's really difficult because it's like, I understand that you want to like share advice and share wisdom, but maybe it's just like not right for me at that time, or maybe you're saying it in a way that's like unhelpful. And it's made me really conscious about how I talk to people who I know have just become sick after COVID, which feels like this scary growing number, because then people are coming to me like, I think I've got long COVID. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. Because if I say anything, then I'm like the ghost of future present. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not a doctor, and I'm like, oh shit, I literally don't know what to say. And I don't want to be like those people who've like said things to me and felt like I'm being sick in the wrong way, or like, I don't know. It's just, it's like there's the great part of chronic illness culture online, people who are so isolated that like all they have is the internet as a way to like have relationships, but at the same time, it's not perfect. And yeah,
like it's
stress.
It's complicated, isn't it? Like, yeah, it is complicated. Also, it sounds like some people are just dickheads.
I know, not this person isn't. Not talking about them at all.
But like, yeah.
But
like,
just some people, like
people turning to you and being like, well, look at the miles I've put in. That's a dickhead comment, regardless.
Like some people like, and this happens in every kind of like genre of person. Like, people brand themselves as like that's their full identity. So like you can trust them, like, and that might be, you can trust that person for being like a certain race or a certain like sexuality, and like no one person is. So like everyone should just speak with a bit more like humility, I think. That's my hot take. But anyway, let's slam through, carry on with quick fire questions.
Pew pew. Yes.
When was your first kiss?
No, next. Skip.
I think I was in year 6. So that was like 10. Anyway, your favorite part of your body?
My legs.
I'm really just into the whole thing at the moment. I've got no answer.
No, that's good. You can say the whole thing. Yeah,
I'm
the whole body.
so into the way I look at the moment. I feel so chill about it. I'm like, yeah. What time do you usually go to bed? It's a really funny question.
11, midnight, depends. I'm not a late night person. I'm a morning person.
I'm currently going to bed about 5:30 a.m. I keep thinking about this. Like, I wouldn't believe me if I wasn't in my body, like, about what happens to me in terms of like my relationship with sleep. Essentially, since getting sick, I have way more energy in the nighttime, but apparently when it comes to September, I become nocturnal. So don't know what that's about, but it is almost to the date that has now happened 2 years in a row. And the difference,
Really?
like for real,
That's circadian.
the difference is that all summer I can wake up and I can get out of bed, but come someday in like the second week of September, I wake up and I can't stand up. I feel like I've been run over by a truck, and then as the day progresses, I feel nauseous and I feel like I feel like I've not slept. And then it comes to the evening and I start to like pick up a bit. And then it comes to midnight and I'm like, let's fucking go. Let's write the fucking book. Everyone, turn all the lights on, put the music on, let's go. I feel like I can go for a run. It makes no sense.
No, that makes sense.
I feel
That's your body
better
clock.
on those nights in the winter and autumn than I do at any other point in the year. That doesn't make any sense. Again, if I was not living this, I would think I've gone nuts. But it's
believe
just
it. It makes
if
sense.
if I have comorbidities other than POTS, it is that I have a delayed sleep phase disorder, which has also affected fatigue. That is my my own conclusion of my health. I think I got COVID. I think I got POTS off the back of it, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and I think I got a delayed sleep phase disorder. And I think COVID has also slightly messed my lungs up because obviously respiratory stuff. I think that's what's up with me. And so at the moment, I'm going to bed at 5:30 a.m. and I have to say, I get into bed and I am wide awake. Like, I'm like this. And I could stay up for hours. Like, this time last year, I was going to bed at like 8 a.m. Feeling great. And I think the same thing's going to happen. And do you know what? Part of me thinks I should just let it happen because we've got a book to write.
Lean into the time zone, I say, because if you're feeling better, if it feels better, I think you should do it.
100%.
Even if it's just for a bit. And I have something to say, and it is that when I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning to go to the gym, I saw the Instagram post you posted at 4 a.m. and it said 2 hours ago, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I imagine
the time zone slippage.
That is why someone has messaged to ask, because yeah. Someone else has said, are either / both of you queer?
I mean, no, probably not.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm bi. Next question. Would you rather have pogo sticks or micro scooters for legs?
Micro scooters, because I'd be able to go really fast.
But you wouldn't be able to jump.
But I think, right, the pogo sticks, you'd be able to jump, and that would speed you up compared to the normal pace that you're at with your legs, right? Or like performance enhanced. But I think the micro scooters would be the faster option, and the jumping would be nice because you get the height, but it wouldn't be as fast as a micro scooter. And imagine, yeah, you're walking through like a packed crowd. If you want people to get out of your way, we all know that a micro scooter to the ankle is fucking lethal.
You would have weapons on your legs.
Weapons.
That's so true.
Yeah. You'd be unfuckwivable.
See, my instinct was pogo sticks because you could also go incredibly fast. You'd have to do some like training sequences to like get your balance right, but I think you could go really fast. And really high. I say that like going high is an important part of my daily lifestyle, but I think that's because I've played so many video games in the past 2 years that like I think I need to always have movement abilities, and that's just not true. The other issue with pogo sticks is that they're so noisy. So noisy. Like, it would be, you could not be chill or cool walking down the street. You'd be
There's
like
no way
rusty, annoying, metallic.
You can't be inconspicuous. That is a conspicuous mode of transport.
And how would you stay in one place? Like, say you're in the queue for the post office, you have to be like bum 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 bum,
immediately irritating.
whereas the micro scooter for leg person could just like do the thing roller skaters do where they like turn their toes inwards and just stand still.
And with one leg as a micro scooter each, you could take 2 passengers with you wherever you go on your zooming trips.
That's so true.
And that's a fundamentally really generous thing to be able to do. You could give people a lift. You can't on a pogo stick. No one wants that.
That's so true, you know. Okay, yeah.
I'm convinced.
That was a really convincing argument.
Really good question.
Probably the best question that we've had.
If you were offered the opportunity to go to Mars for 5 years, would you? You'd have to be on your own.
No.
You wouldn't go to Mars?
Why would I go to Mars?
I would.
Why?
Just want to see what it's like.
For 5 years.
Yeah, but how many people can say that they've been to Mars?
I mean, like, are you cut off
None.
communication-wise from the rest of the world? Are you, like, fully plonked there without any internet? And, like, you know...
I haven't decided. Does it swing things for you?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you can have a little chat with the person on the other end.
I'd still say no.
Really?
Right, think about it. If you get sick, you've got no means to make yourself unsick. 2, you can't have sex. 3.
Well, I didn't say you're not allowed to bring a suitcase.
3, I think people who are basically in solitary confinement are like guaranteed to go mad. I don't really want to go mad. And there are like things to do on Earth. You couldn't live without like endless coffees.
I was just thinking, will I be able to have a silly little coffee on Mars?
You can't.
No, I can't. Yeah, I think I'd die on the way there. Obviously, I'd simply just... It would get to the first week and I'd be like, well, I'm stuck in a rocket ship and I can't go anywhere, and I'd simply just cease. And how long can you stomp across the bridge of a rocket ship? It's just not going to work for me. But I'd still go because I don't think things through, do I? I get myself into scrapes.
Yeah, you can't go there. We had like a lot of questions from people that were really like art world related and advice related, but I think we're gonna leave those for other podcasts because
that should be safe for another time. Yeah.
Because like it feels more responsible to like really get stuck into those things. It feels like it could be useful. So one question that I would like to end with goes back to the first category of questions that we looked at today, which is like super White Pube related stuff. What are some notable messages you've got about how helpful / useful your platform is? It would be nice to hear if you both recognize how beneficial / interesting your platform is and use this as an excuse to endlessly big yourselves up. Lol. And like, I think, yeah, let's end with that, because I said we shouldn't just use this podcast to like gas ourselves up, but we've been doing this for 7 years and we've managed to make it our job, and it's something that makes us very happy, and I think it's something that makes other people happy too. And like,
toot your own horn, yeah.
Maybe it's nice to have a tiny party at the end of the podcast for the people who are still listening. If anyone is still
2 hours
here.
later, yeah.
What are like the things that stand out for you that people have said?
I've had a lot of responses individually from artists who said thank you so much for writing the review. Do you know what, actually? I'm not going to name the artist, but one artist said that the review I wrote of their exhibition was so like moving and meaningful that they listened to the audio version of it all the time, just at the bus stop, like just casually, and like, so, and I was like, that's crazy, and like I don't know how I feel about that, but because, I mean, not that I don't know how I feel about that, like I just don't, I don't know how to comprehend that. That's crazy to me, but I get, yeah, that's the bit that means the most to me, because I think I'm very specific in what I write about in terms of the shows and the artists that I'm paying attention to, and I think it is important that they're getting critical attention from someone who's not a middle-aged white man working in like a full-time job for like a staff writing position for like a broadsheet newspaper, getting like, you know, six-figure salary with a pension and like a 3-bed semi-detached house in Hampstead, you know, like it's important that like the artists I write about get the critical attention from someone who's a bit more normal. So that means a lot, and I think that is what I have in mind when I'm writing it. I don't know how to comprehend the other kinds of feedback we get when people are like, oh, like, I loved this. I'm like, you read it? What, like, that's baffling to me. The idea that anyone reads the things that we write. You, it makes sense. Me, I don't know why you'd be interested. I can't get my head around it. It bends my nut. Like, I find it crazy still. I don't really believe it.
You're a very good writer. There's a reason that we have the jobs that we do. It's not all me.
Who's that interested in art criticism, Gab? Like, who's like, I recognise that not only I'm a good writer, but like I'm not that good. You know, it's a niche interest. Like, there's that too.
Yeah. Mine. By the way, I love the fact that this person listens to the podcast on the regular, like their own review. Like, that's just so. It's so nice that you can like give that to someone. I have a folder on my desktop called Nice People, and whenever someone makes like a little comment that feels special, or especially when people send emails in, I'll always screenshot them and put them in the Nice People folder, because, you know, like when musicians perform, at the end of it people clap and they can like visibly see that people receive the things that they do. On the White Pube, essentially what we've had for a long time is Google Analytics, and we've been able to see like the numbers of people who read the website and listen to the podcast, and they're pretty big. Like, it still for some reason is at like 30,000 visits a month, and that's like a good thing, but it's hard to know what that means or feels like, because we we just see a number and we don't like see much more than that because it's the internet. But, and you'll remember this, like the Fax Me Harder newsletter put out like a text just about like the White Pube podcast, and I've got a screenshot of it. So it says, I've been listening to the White Pubes podcast recently. Have you heard it? There's very few podcasts I'd describe as beautiful, but it's properly beautiful. I don't play any video games and I've never sought out game reviews, but Gabrielle de la Puente's readings of her game reviews are actual poetry. They're luscious with description, but not wanky in any way. Thoughtfully composed, casually spoken, engaging, but not like recently got a column at the New York Times engaging. Also, hearing a Scouse accent on a podcast is blessed relief. I listen to Gab's softly harsh or harshly soft lilt, and I allow myself to sink into her descriptions, which incidentally feel like the only bit that I do like of a game where you're walking down a wooded route in the first bit and nothing bad has happened or can happen yet. Like, and then it goes on, and it's just like, oh my god, because
that's a really good review.
It's a really nice review, but it's so like affirming that people read the texts that we write no matter what we write them about. Like, that is so nice, because it means like people just enjoy the actual craft of the writing. Literally sometimes does not matter whether I'm writing about Red Dead Redemption or like a Liverpool biennial festival institutional critique. Like, people just want to read the writing. That is like the biggest review that I could get, I think. That's so nice.
I can't bend my head around that, though. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's so nice.
I don't understand how that... Does that actually happen? Do people actually do that? I'm not being funny. I'm really not being funny. But do people actually... I know...
Yeah, they do.
I know that...
Because there's different categories of people being nice, isn't it? It's like, oh, I really enjoyed this. And then there's, I really enjoyed this because... And then there's, I really enjoyed this even though this isn't something I usually enjoy. And then there's the people who are like, often get in touch with the White Pube to say like, you know, I used to hate going to exhibitions, and because of you, I feel like more empowered to go to them. A lot of people have actually been sending in praise for you because of the Friday gallery visits that you do when you go around Instagram and like see stuff, because like, one, a lot of people aren't in London to see like the big shows, but also two, a lot of the people in London don't have the means to go to the exhibitions because like they're sick or they've got care and responsibilities, their parents, they're just fucking busy. Like, so loads of people are seeing you as a way of like, you know, like a friend that goes for you and like lets you know how it is. And that's so nice. And like the messages that we get about those gallery visits are like, oh, like I'm glad that we've got these different avenues of writing, but also like showing and sharing. That feels really nice to be able to do, and
that does feel really special.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to like sound like I'm being obtuse, but it really feels like something I cannot get my head around. That like I'm not being obtuse. I really just do not understand that people read what we write, care
still after 7 years
to read. After 7 years, I don't get it. I really don't get it, and I'm like, I don't understand when it's gonna click, and I don't think this is a good thing. I don't think this is me being like #fake humble. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I've just not.
That might be why I'm scared that no one will buy the book, because like sometimes I forget that any of these people are real. There's a Twitch streamer that I really like called His Watson, and every so often you'll see like, you know, he's got like 10,000 viewers every day now, but you'll just see comments sometimes that are copy and pasted from people saying like, hi Watson, like I'm really sorry to break it to you, but like I'm actually your only viewer. I've made all these Twitch accounts so that it seems like you've got a bigger audience, but it's just me. And like I feel like that's the same with the White Pube sometimes. Like 30,000 people, that's bullshit. That's a bot. You've made bots. You've got bots visiting the White Pube and like refreshing the page, because that's not real.
Did you not see my face when you said the number? I haven't heard the number.
Yeah.
I didn't know that number.
It's just been consistently 30,000 for like the last 4 years. It's so weird. I'm conscious of the time.
And also the fact that the Zoom clock is...
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We've got 1 minute 48 seconds to wrap this up. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share, or, you know, I don't know. If you want to support the White Pube, please maybe consider donating on PayPal or Coffee, or becoming a regular subscriber on Patreon. We have a Discord server that you can join if you do any one of those things. We're on Twitter and Instagram and the website. But ultimately, thank you so much for being one of the 30,000 people, and for keeping us in business, and for reading our things, and for taking the time to send in messages that make us feel like we are good at something.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very emotional.
Really emotional. Can't comprehend it. You're the only one, though.
You listening. You're the only person who listens.
Thanks so much.
Thank you to our one reader, you. Our one Patreon person.
Okay, it's gonna boot us in a minute. Let's go.
Okay.
I love
Bye-bye.
you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.